What's up, guys? MC Stu here, and today we're going to take a quick look at my top picks out of the Phoenix Pack Shop store. So Cryptic is running an event that starts today, the 22nd, and is going to run through the 3rd of next month, where you can pick up one free Phoenix prize pack per day, per account. So you can only do it one time on a particular character. If you switch to another character, you'll not be able to claim another one for, I believe it's 20-hour cooldown on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a look in the shop when you get these and take a look at what I like out of there. Again, this is going to be similar to the winter store and some of those things. Some of this stuff is personal preference. I'm just going to touch on the things that I enjoy using. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I have a whole video on how to obtain your free boxes every day, and I'll link that down in the description, and it'll also be on the end screen. So let's go ahead and take a look. So when you get your Phoenix pack and you open it, you are going to end up with a Phoenix prize token, and they range from epic to very rare. There's an ultra rare, and then common. So basically like your standard, gear ratings, there's just not a white one. So there is, 4 different tokens that you can get out of that. So if you double click on any of them, it'll bring you into the store, or 5 different, I'm sorry. So let's start at the top, and do know that you can break them down. I would not do this with an epic or with an ultra rare, but if you had a very rare and you didn't want any of this stuff, you can come down to the bottom, and for a very rare, you can get 2 rares. And then you could even go further and break those down into a total of 4 commons. And you might ask, well, why would you want to do that? And so one of the most useful ongoing things here that I'll use this for is the Phoenix upgrade token. So this gives you 50,000 upgrade points, 51.4 thousand upgrade points with no dilithium requirement or anything else. So this is the most economical way to upgrade any of your gear in the game. You can purchase these in 10 packs or individually anytime through the year by clicking on the dilithium store and going to special items. And then once we're in special items, it's near the top here. Here are your 2 choices. So you can save a little bit of dilithium to purchase these, and it's definitely worth doing if you're going to be upgrading stuff. This is the only way to do it. And you might get lucky and get a ultra rare or an epic one. So that's number 1. Most common use that I do with these. Now, if you're a free-to-play player, you may want to go after some of the gear that's in there, and there's definitely some great gear that is in the shop. So let's go ahead and take a look through that. Starting with the ships, if you're lucky enough to get an epic, and it's pretty rare for these to drop, my 2 top picks are going to be the 2 at the top here. So the Bajorn Interceptor, it's a good ship, and it also comes with the 4th piece of the Bajorn set, space set. The rest of it comes from a mission in game, and it will give you the warp core. So if you wanted to complete that set, it kind of works around drain kind of builds, but it's nice to have the core and use it, say, with just the shield if you're wanting to get the phaser or the plasma or disruptor boost out of it. But more importantly, this ship is going to come with the Domino console, which is an excellent console for phaser builds and many other builds. It's similar to a kind of a DPRM without the healing potential, but it gives you bonus damage, firing, cycle haste, and the passives on it are pretty good as well. They boost phaser, and they are so that you can use them very well with, or they synergize very well with phaser builds, but you'll see these on a lot of other builds. And the ship itself is very decent. The next one would be this Breen Heavy Raider. And the reason for that, the ship itself is not real great. The console's not real big deal. Cold-Hearted is a pretty good trait, especially when Ox to Bat for resetting your cooldowns was the main thing. And a lot of us are still using it if you don't have Boimlers. That's kind of a whole separate thing, but there's a personal space trait that you can get out of the Lobby store that is called the Boimler effect, and it has kind of taken over for the meta for doing cooldowns, but it requires Lobby, which requires keys, and depending on how you're grinding, is most likely going to require real life money. So Ox to Bat is something that you can build for and grind out in game for free for cooldowns. And again, there's separate videos for these cooldowns, but this trait synergizes with it very well. It gives a debuff. It also gives a control, which is going to synergize with some of the other rep traits that you can get for free as well. So if you know, you're gonna have to kind of do your own homework on this to see if that's worth it for you. But this is something I would point you towards to check out if you were to get a Epic console. If I were to get an Epic, token, I would most likely be grabbing this ship on one of my support builds or something like that. So again, a lot of that's going to depend on your needs. As for the ultra rare, all the ships that are in here are going to be T5s that come with a free upgrade. I believe it's a free upgrade. Yeah, they come with a free upgrade, and they're okay. Like the bug ship's okay, but you can get the one from the Jemadar character on any character for, you know, less than 1,000 the lithium. So it's got a slightly different layout in it for the consoles, but the Breen ship in here is kind of cool. But these are just, they're not super useful. For me, I would most likely be going with the upgrade here. I would not trade it in. I would go with the ship upgrade to make your ship an X, adding the console to it, and you can get 2 of them for the ultra rare. So for me, that's what I would use. I have purchased the bug ship in the past, and I also purchased, which one is it? It's the not the heavy raider. So these are like some of them are tier 5 versions of ones you can get, like the Ryzen Corvette. This is a tier 5. The Breen warship. It's a really cool looking ship, but you know, other than, you know, Space Barbie, it's I think you're better off if you already have a tier 6 or a tier 5U getting the upgrade tokens. Okay, so once we get into the very rare and the rare, most likely, because this event is twice as long as normal, pretty much everybody's going to most likely at least get one of these. These are fairly common to drop, especially if you're buying 10 packs. Sometimes I've bought in a 10 pack and not gotten any, but these are not impossible to come by. It's pretty common. So we'll just kind of go down the list. Again, you can kind of read through this stuff. I'm going to kind of skip through the things that are valuable to me, and that might vary. So at the top, we have it's basically a hoverboard. Looks like the one from Back to the Future. You can use this at the Colony World and on Ryza, I believe. Only it's you know, basically a vanity kind of thing, but it allows you to basically hoverboard all around any of the water areas of those maps. Red matter capacitor is okay. If you don't have you know, other things to fill your device slots, this is a pretty decent one. So this is going to give you a 20 plus 25 all power levels for 30 seconds, which is nice. Next, we have the interphasic instability universal console, and this is going to give you a passive damage boost. It's not very big, 5%, and it's also going to give you a boost to your max hull capacity. It does a very nice debuff that is pretty useful, especially in support builds. I used this pretty heavily if I'm starting a new tune, or if I were new to the game and you know, I was opening, especially on these free ones. I would definitely consider picking this up. This is a good universal console because it's not tied to any particular kind of damage type or anything like that. And while it doesn't give like the most amazing stacks of or stats for any one particular thing, it gives some decent useful ones. And again, the debuff, clicking on that is pretty good. Okay, the Voth Phase Decoy, if you're doing an anti-proton build, I definitely pick this up. This is where you can pick up some more anti-proton damage without having to take up a tactical slot. I would not use the clicky on this because it basically just takes you out of the fight completely, unless maybe you're, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't use that. It brings you stealth, and I think this one stops you from being able to move or do anything else. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys. It's been a while since I've used it. And then you're also going to get a boost to your maximum hull capacity as well. Anti-proton, definitely pick it up. All right, we got kit module. This is the crystalline spike. My kid actually picked this up, and we used it a bit a while back. I was really not impressed. I would not put that up on the top of the list if you have 0 in this store. Bozeman, Impulse Engine, I would just skip that. It's not worth using a very rare on. The shotgun's pretty decent, although I would probably go for one of the kinetic sniper rifles, one of the TRs. They're going to be very effective and fairly inexpensive, or you can craft it. You can get them, fleets give them away. You can get them really cheap out the exchange. Although the shotgun for fighting Borg, you know, doing the physical damage, not kinetic, is pretty decent as well. I wouldn't put it on the top of the list, but it's definitely a good buy for ground. Next, we have the Crystalline Energy Torpedo. Again, this synergizes real well with Anti-Proton, maybe until you get the reps up. Once you get your reps up and you can get the Lorca console and the Dark Matter Torpedo, I would probably drop this, but if you're trying to just go all Anti-Proton, this is an Anti-Proton damaged torpedo, so it's going to do an energy damage type on this particular torpedo. Some of this mirror agony weapons aren't bad. I think probably my favorite out of them is going to be the dual pistols. Again, this is, for a rare, there's probably a few other things I would get out of this first, but some of this ground gear is pretty decent. I don't know about some of this Sunpack stuff, and yeah, I would probably skip most of this, unless, you're just into it. I mean, read through the descriptions. If it goes with a theme that you're doing, do it. So it's kind of nice. They actually added the warp core to the very rare tab from the Bajor ship. And I always mix them up. Yeah, the Bajor Interceptor. So you can get the warp core or the Singularity core now separate, which is kind of nice. So sometimes this is kind of nice thing to get, especially if you're leveling and you've picked up the Bajor Defense Shield. Now you have a two-piece where you can get that phaser two-piece damage boost if you're running phaser or disruptor or plasma, and that's nice to have if you want to use, say, the rep engine and the colony deflector, and still be able to get the two-piece from the Bajor set. You could pick this up. So it's kind of nice they added that separate, because before you had to get the ship either through the original event or getting an epic, and epic tokens are pretty hard to come by. Agony Torpedo. This is another pretty cool torpedo. It does energy weapons damage as well. Phaser, and synergizes really well with a phaser build. I use it especially where a lot of these items, most of these items come from events. So for instance, like I have a lot of this stuff that I can just reclaim, right? So I'm trying to make sure I'm bringing this from the perspective, if I didn't have any of this, what would I get first? And what my top picks would be. So, if you're leveling and you got a few of these, then this isn't a bad one to pick up either. And use it again until you're able. I mean, the Dark Matter Torpedo is pretty much going to replace any other torpedo in the game for me, unless I'm doing some sort of theme build. All right, so moving on, we have the Power Dino. This one gives, every 5 seconds in combat, gain 1 stack of power. The stats on this look interesting and not bad. I have it, and I'll use it again on a newer character when I need to just kind of fill spots up. But once you get closer to the end game, I don't see a lot of benefit from this or from the set itself. If you guys have found a good way to make this work, definitely let me know in the comments. Be interested to get your thoughts on that. Okay, next we have the prolonged engagement phaser beam array, and there's a cannon version. Both of these are excellent, and I would definitely pick these up, especially the cannon. If you're doing a cannon scatter volley build or anything like that, this is going on my top end, and most of my phaser builds are also going to take the beam array as well. So these both are very good weapons to have. All right, and lastly for gear, we have the Prolonged Engagement Torpedo. I've played with this one a little bit. It has some kind of interesting procs, especially when you start pairing it up with these sets, where you can get the cooldowns reduced on these. And I know initially there was some issues where it was cooling it way down way too much, and you were just getting a crazy amount of firing action out of it. That was fixed, and since then, it's, again, Dark Matter Torpedo is going to outclass this, as well as a few of the other ones. All right, let's go ahead and jump down into very rare. As we get farther down, there's going to be kind of less stuff to kind of look at. We'll kind of bulk it together. So second one down, first one, I would just skip that. Second one down, anti-proton damage build. This is a good one to have. It's got a pretty nice clicky, and it's giving you a nice enough passive boost for anti-proton damage that you can slot without taking up a tactical slot. I'd skip this. If you're low on ships in general and you need more Admiralty cards, these are always a nice option for going through the Admiralty system. As for duty officers, this guy is pretty pretty good. He doesn't give you a huge boost. So basically, this is going to be if you're someone that likes to run the ISAs or you're going into the Borg content in the game or something like that. You can slot this duty officer and it gives plus 5% Cat 1 damage versus Borg. What makes it nice, and while you'll see it on some people's rosters, is because I can slot him in the ground slot, but it affects or has an effect on ground and in space. So both space and ground maps. So basically you can get a free extra 5% damage when you're fighting the Borg without taking up anything that has to do with a space slot, which is nice. So it's not a make or break, but if you're min-maxing, then that's something to grab or consider. Next is the con officer. I use this on every single build. This is my number one first pick for everything, unless I were to get an epic or an ultra rare, because that's kind of a different thing. I get this right away. As soon as I can have duty officers and I'm able to get a rare Phoenix token, I'm getting this. This is the first thing I'm getting, and a lot of that has to do with my play style. So I like to go fast. So for instance, evasive maneuver, I click on that, zip around the map, do what I'm going to do, and once that goes on a cooldown and you have this duty officer slotted, emergency power to engines is going to cool that down. So you see I just clicked it, and now we're at 3, 2, and 1, and it is now ready to use again. And for me, and again, this is personal preference kind of stuff, this is huge. Even if you don't, some ships can be really squirrely and they get hard to pilot. So you got to bear that in mind, but I'm not just clicking it whenever, right? I just want to be able to get from A to B in a straight line as quickly as possible when I want to. And for me, that's important. Number one, doing competitive runs and TFOs, or just if I'm going through mission content, I don't want to take, 3 or 4 minutes to get from, where I'm at to the next checkpoint. I want to get there fast. And this makes that process of transiting maps and things a lot more enjoyable. All right, so let's go ahead and skip through some of this. So next, the Kabali uniform is pretty nice. This is a full costume unlock. The overall uniform, I've done some kind of cool stuff, kind of ninja-y kind of looking like, especially if you mix it with like the con mask or something like that. The big one in this, though, is going to be the boots. The boots that it comes with are very kind of tactical looking. They're really, really cool, and I generally buy this on every single character for the boots. Or if I'm doing some sort of theme build and I want more of that robe kind of warrior look, you can use the rest of it as well. But for a rare token, which are pretty darn easy to get, this is a nice little costume unlock to be able to unlock all the pieces to it or the whole set for yourself. All right. What else do we got in here? We got some duty officers. I don't really use these. Space trait. This one's okay. I think this ejects some sort of dot behind you when you activate evasive maneuvers, if I remember correctly. If you have no traits, grab it. There's one. It's not gonna make or break a build, but having some options and trying to fly your ship in a way to be able to take advantage of what you have is always fun, especially if you're free to play just starting the game out. All right, let's go ahead and drop down to the uncommon. This is full of pretty much just a bunch of kind of fun stuff. So you have non-combat pets. There are space and ground versions of them. We have a whole bunch of different kind of tribbles. Tribbles are generally going to give you some sort of buff for a certain amount of time, and you can kind of go through these and see if there's something in particular, that's going to make sense for maybe a ground build that you have going. These are pretty inexpensive, being that they're just the common tokens, although I would not buy any of them. I would be using upgrades, especially, again, if I'm newer or starting a new tune or have stuff that isn't fully upgraded. This stuff is not going to make any kind of real difference to you at all. The vanity stuff, that's personal preference. So I'm not going to sit here and say that's not going to make any difference to you, because that has nothing to do with me. Same thing with the emotes. Some of these are pretty cool. The air guitar, definitely got that. Blood wine, love it. Bow. The emotes, I like them. They're, stupid. They're not helping your gameplay or DPS or anything like that. But if you're on ground, you're playing with friends and things like that, they're kind of fun to have. So these are all pretty cool looking and worth picking up if you have, an abundance of extras and those kinds of things. So then we have a thing called starship emotes. I don't think I have any unlocked on this particular character, but basically what it would do I can get this out of the way here a little bit, is if I had, say, like the rock, paper, scissors one or thumbs up, is like a white hand would come up above, white hand emote and give a thumbs up for anybody that's around me in the social zone. They would be able to see it. The rock, paper, scissor one is kind of cool because when you click it, it does a random rock, paper, scissors. So like when me and my kid played, my youngest kid that is, we did one of two things when we logged in. We played rock, paper, scissors in space, or we played hide and go seek on the starbase. He didn't know I could see him on the map, and I didn't cheat, but he had a lot of fun finding me. But anyways, that stuff is kind of cool. Again, it's Space Barbie, especially when you're playing with other people and being able to kind of mess with that stuff. It's kind of cool. The Sumpec stuff, it's okay. So it's a two-piece set. So you have the shield, and then you have the weapon. There's also a rifle for it. Let's see here. This it. Yeah. So you can get the rifle, or you can do the more like pistol, or is it a glove or something like that thing. I would go with the rifle and the shield if you're going to go that route. To be honest, though, it's not super duper awesome. I would probably, wait for your rep stuff. Or again, if you got a bunch of these, if you bought some with Dill, or you've already you got a good roll, you got a bunch of, very rares or something like that, and so you've kind of gotten all the things you wanted. Pick it up, try it out, have fun. I mean, that's really what it's all about. These boosts, I would not waste much time with these. They're just not super big. But again, if you got an abundance and you need, fleet credit bonus or any of these other ones, there's an option for you there. Some of these equivalents, so you can get off the exchange for pretty damn cheap. So again, I think overall, long-term, the most valuable thing in here is the upgrades, especially now that they're pretty much available to you anytime. If you have dilithium, you can go and buy these packs. It's very nice, getting these free ones, especially on my free-to-play. I mean, I have dilithium on my free-to-play, but I mean, even on my paid, I'm going to be picking up the free one. Free's free. I'll take it. It doesn't matter. So there's quite a bit of stuff in here. Some of it, like I said, I don't really mess with. It's not to say that some of it isn't good, but it's personal preference. So you're just going to have to kind of decide what you like. But those are kind of the main things that I would recommend to you. If this is your first time, getting these packs, learning about these packs, or maybe having an abundance of them due to the fact that we're going to get a decent chunk of them over the next 2 weeks here. So I really hope that was helpful, guys. Is there anything else I need to cover? The giveaway is going to be over by the time this goes live. In fact, I'm recording right now. It should be done in like 30 minutes. So we'll be announcing those winners here soon. I think that pretty much covers everything, guys. So until next time, I really appreciate you guys watching the videos, and I hope this was helpful. Check out these two videos. First one is going to be a review on the winter event store, and the other one is a video on the Phoenix packs and how to get the free ones during the event. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.